Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Today is September 18th. It is a Tuesday in 2018. Tonight's topic: what's up at the U.S. Mint and Silver Eagle sales? We're going to go through what's happened over the past couple of weeks since the U.S. Mint suspended Silver Eagle sales. We're also going to talk about some other silver demand metrics, and I've got some charts for you, so stick around for that. Remember, you can always see the charts better on the Smaulgld website, so please remember to subscribe to smaulgld.com, or just go there now and check out the site, but it's best to have your email in there so you can stay in touch and get all the special features of the Smaulgld website. And remember, we do this every night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Monday, every night, here on YouTube. Now, let's take a look at the gold and silver markets before we take a look at our silver demand charts. Gold, well, it's under $1,200 right now at $11.99, and it had opened the day around $11.99, and it got up to about $12.02. Closed the regular trading day around $11.97, $11.98. And just in the last hour or so moved up slightly. Silver, same story, still trading in the low 14 range. Opened the day around 14.11, got up as high as 14.21, and now is at 14.15. So those of you who've been following the whole, I think 2 weeks ago was the historic, never happened before in 17 years. Commercials are net long silver. This is bullish for silver. Well, so far nothing's happened. And if you're interested, I did do a video on that. And you can see, I think it's the one entitled about JP Morgan and their COMEX silver depository shedding about 1.1 million ounces. And the way I looked at it is, it's just that silver has been falling for so long, for about 9 or 10 weeks, and if you look at how the positions were lined up, that it was just time for the shorts to go long and the longs to go shorts and short. And if there is a excuse me, any of a bit of an increase in the price of silver, then you'll see those commercials and non-commercials flip their positions around again. I didn't ascribe much to it then. I don't ascribe much to it now. I spent 2 weeks and we've seen no price move whatsoever, really. And just as I don't believe the nonsense about JP Morgan holding whatever number of millions or hundreds of millions of ounces that is said to be held by that entity. Now, the cryptocurrencies, a bit of a rebound today. Over the last 24 hours, these quotes are from Coinbase. Bitcoin 63.28, up about 1.5%. Cash 431, up about 4% over the last 24 hours. Ethereum rebounded nicely, up about $10, $12, maybe even more, up to 208, and that's about a 7% gain. And Litecoin at $54, up about 4%. All right, let's talk about American Silver Eagles. American Silver Eagles. Now, they were suspended, I think on very early in the month. I think it was the very first trading day of the month. I think it was September. Let me take my calendar. Yeah, I think we heard about it on September 5th. We saw numbers for the U.S. Mint, and we saw that within the first couple of days of the month, they'd already sold about 1.4 million American Silver Eagles, which was a lot of Silver Eagles for them to sell. Not historically over the last 7 or 8 years, but over the last 15 months or so, the Silver Eagle sales have been really low. And it looked like they were coming back to life. And part and parcel of that was we had seen silver prices this year drop from almost $18 down to $14. And as we know, the silver demand, the physical retail demand, picks up when the price is heading down fast. People don't have the concept of not wanting to catch a falling knife. They have the concept of wanting to get a bargain. And then when the price rises quickly, there's the fear of missing out. So we see that Silver Eagle sales tend to do really well in a volatile market, not where the price is just sitting at $17 or $20 or $16. it's when the price starts to move significantly in one direction. And we saw a decided direction of down the last couple of months, and people started to finally step off the sidelines, jump off that proverbial fence, and start buying, not hand over fist, but pretty robustly in a way that we hadn't seen in quite some time. And what happened? Well, the U.S. Mint, which had been plodding along, not thinking they were going to sell many Silver Eagles this year, all of a sudden found themselves flat-footed and didn't have enough Silver Eagles to sell. So they announced that they were going to suspend sales to the authorized purchasers because they didn't have enough. Now, I've covered this, and for those of you who don't know, the way the American Silver Eagles are made, or they're not made from silver sitting around at the U.S. Mint that they then punch out and make into coins right then and there at the Mint. For quite some time, and I don't know how long, but it's at least a decade or so, they've relied on third-party private mints to deliver to them 1-ounce silver blanks or planchets, which they then slap the walking lady on the front and the eagle on the back, and that's how they produce their American Silver Eagle coins. And then they charge authorized purchasers $2 per coin over the spot price of silver. That's why I don't like this JP Morgan concept that they would buy silver in the form of Silver Eagles, just because there's a real fabrication issue. You are paying a premium. The authorized purchasers are paying a premium. It's a very, I would say it's a clunky way of getting silver into the hands of anybody, nonetheless somebody who wants tens and hundreds of millions of ounces, because the U.S. Mint uses 3 private mints. One of them we know is Sunshine Minting, and they have to get the silver blanks. They then have to stamp them. Then they have to deliver them. They've got to be put in rolls or monster boxes. And then if you're going to melt them down, then you got to cut the monster box open, open them up, take them out of the tubes. It's a real arduous process. But what's happening now is they ran out of planchets. It's not a silver shortage. It's not like there's not silver available. There were not enough silver planchets, and or maybe the U.S. Mint had them, but they couldn't stamp the eagles on them fast enough. Who knows? But they were unable to meet the demand for the last couple of weeks. And this is why you have to look at what you're looking at on the chart right now. The chart shows these are American Silver Eagle premiums, and they've just started to come back down. You see they went up almost to a 30% premium. You're paying a lot of money for a Silver Eagle. My recommendation is not investment advice, but if you are buying silver, when you see premiums rise on Silver Eagles, it's probably best just to wait. Unless you have an absolute need for a Silver Eagle, maybe it's a gift. But generally, Silver Eagle premiums will come down if the reason that they're high is because the U.S. Mint is running out of planchets, not eagles. It's just a temporary shortage. And if you need to have silver during that month or so, I'm not saying postpone the purchase. Maybe you buy some other form of silver, because no one really knows what the best form of silver to own is. People have their views. Some people like the constitutional silver / the junk silver. There's pros and cons in that. There's pros and cons of generic rounds, and there's pros and cons of Silver Eagles. But I would think one of the cons of Silver Eagles when the premium goes up is that the premium has gone up. And whatever pro there is in the Silver Eagle, maybe at a certain premium, it's not worth it. But we're seeing that premium come down, and I think that the premiums are going to come down further, and here's why. Today, I noticed this yesterday. I should have reported on this yesterday, but I checked the Silver Eagle sales daily from the U.S. Mint website. And one of the things that I noted was that the U.S. Mint had sold 500,000 Silver Eagles to its authorized purchasers on Monday, which meant now that the U.S. Mint has sold in September 1,962,500 American Silver Eagles, which is more than last month when they sold 1.5 million. So it looks like the U.S. Mint is back to selling American Silver Eagles. Now today they sold 500,000, or they sold them yesterday, the 500,000. Today they did not update the website and add any more sales. That could be either because they just didn't update the website today. That does happen. Usually I think when they make sales they do update it, but they could be lazy and maybe wait to update them till the next day. Or they sold the 500,000 and that was their most recent allotment that they had, and they don't have any more to sell again. So we don't know and we won't know, but I'll check them out every day and see whether they've got enough silver and that they're reporting every day. We'll see if and when they next report how many Silver Eagles that they're selling. But it's interesting that they did manage to bang out another 500,000 on Monday of sales to authorized purchasers. So they must have gotten a reallotment from one or all three of their private vendors. Now we don't know how much they got. We don't know whether they got 3 million and they only sold a 500,000, whether they got a 500,000 and they sold them out right away. Who knows? So there you see your premiums. I guess they started coming down because I suppose as that mix they realized that they would be getting in their coins soon. And also the sales do start to go down as the premiums start to go up, so they have to react. Look at what happened in 2015. Premiums went up to 50%, and that was because there were weeks in which the U.S. Mint and even the Canadian Mint had no Silver Eagles to sell because they had the problem where they had run out. Now, it's interesting that the Canadian Mint ran out because I have always thought that the Canadian Mint makes it from their own supply, and they may have had there may have been a silver shortage pinch back in 2015 because, as we're going to see in a minute, sales were much higher back in 2015, and that's when the Perth Mint came along and came out with the excuse me, the 1 ounce silver Australian kangaroo bullion coin, and that sold about 3.5 million right off the bat in like a week in September. So there really was an international demand for silver, and silver at the time was also right around the price it is now, in the $14, $15, $16 range, and there had been a lot of buying all year. This shortage hit, or this Silver Eagle suspension hit, pretty much after a very horrible year so far. I think this is a case not where the U.S. Mint couldn't keep up. I think it was where the U.S. Mint had basically switched off the printing press, the mint, for the rest of the year, and they thought, all right, that's going to be it, and they got hit with a surprise. All right, I want to show you now. I managed to get together the Canadian, the Perth, and the Austrian and U.S. Mint numbers for the past 3 years, and I want to show you what's happened to the demand, because it's a very important issue here that we're looking at. All right, let me see if that comes up for you. There it is. Okay, it's up. And I can't look at the comments because I look at the comments generally at the end anyway, but I'm not ignoring anyone if you're calling out to me, because I have to keep my eye on the recording and whether it's recording, because oftentimes, many of you know who attend this live stream every night, every now and then I cut out and I just have to get back online, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the software, whether it's YouTube. There's nothing worse than being interrupted and then going and see the comments to tell me that I've been cut off. So I'm looking at the chart on a different screen, but you're seeing the same thing I am. Okay, so the silver sales since 2015, 2018. And I want to talk about the Canadian Mint, but I also want to talk about 2015 as well. Let's talk about 2015. Look at that year. Now that year, just the top four mints, Silver Eagles, U.S. Mint, Canadian Mint, Perth Mint, Austrian Mint, sold about 103 million ounces of silver. And then if you add in the British UK Mint, the Mexican Libertads, the Chinese Pandas, that was about 8 million. They came up to like 130 million ounces of silver. That's a huge amount of silver. That's more than they use in solar now. That was a very big year, 2015. And I believe if you added in the privately minted silver rounds, bars, and so on, it's like well over 220, 230 million ounces. So maybe 260. It was huge. That was a very large, maybe it was like 22, 23% of overall silver demand, up from just 5% in 2006. And you can see, excuse me, the Canadian mint also sold, was approaching U.S. mint numbers, 34.3 million. And the Perth mint was at 13 million. That was largely on the basis of what they sold since September, because normally the Perth mint was selling about 7 or 8 million ounces until they introduced the silver Australian kangaroo. And then the Austrian mint actually sold 9 million. Relatively small European mint, but they sold 9 million. I think the Chinese sold 8 million. The Mexicans sold 5 or 6. The Britannia sold 6 or 7. It was a big year for American Silver Eagle and other sovereign mint and privately minted silver rounds. The very biggest year ever for silver demand at mints ever since they went off a silver coinage standard. So obviously in 1964, the U.S. Mint used more silver. I've done a blog post and a YouTube on that. You can look it up. I think it's called The Year the U.S. Mint used 550 million ounces of silver just to mint quarters, dimes, and half dollars for people to use. They didn't sell them to you. They just threw them out there for circulation. Canadian mint, Austrian mint, British mint, all the mints around the world up to the 60s, sometimes even to the late 60s, Swiss mint, were using massive amounts, millions of ounces of silver. I mean, billions of ounces of silver to mint silver coins for general circulation. So even in this huge year in 2015, it was 47 million versus 550 million at the U.S. Mint in 1964. But, as I mentioned, from the private bullion sales, this was a huge deal, because it moved the private bullion sales up to over 130 million ounces, and you really weren't seeing the mints making that much, using that much silver. You'd have to go all the way back to the 60s, but when you went back to the 60s, it was still 5, 7 times, 8 times bigger. But still, that was huge for the most recent periods of time since the 60s. And it looked like in 2016 that it was going to continue, and then mid-year it fell off, but it was still a decent year. U.S. Mint, 37.7 million Silver Eagles. The Canadian Mint went higher. The Perth Mint dipped a bit, and then the Austrian Mint dipped further in 2016. One of the things that happened in 2015 and 2016 that screwed up the Canadian Mint numbers was they had introduced, that's why I stopped reporting on them. They're back to normal reporting. They had, you may not remember this, they had introduced this very interesting coin. And I think it was a $25 Canadian face. It doesn't matter what the amount. Maybe it was 20. I think it was 20. And the coin said $20 on the front or on the back, whatever they put it on the Canadian coins. And it was the size of about a quarter. But supposedly it was legal tender, and it was worth $20, not a quarter. And it had in it about a quarter of an ounce of silver. So the coin's value, intrinsic value, was $5. But it said $20 on it. This was almost the reverse of the Canadian Silver Maple Leaf, which says $5 on it, but at the time, 2015-16, was probably worth $20. And I looked at that and I thought that's a very interesting concept, because when you buy silver at $20 an ounce, you're taking the risk that it can go to $15. And your floor on the price of a Canadian Maple Leaf is $5, because that's what it says on it, $5 Canadian dollars. The floor on an American Silver Eagle is $1, because that's what it says on it, $1. Chances of silver going to $1 an ounce are pretty remote, and the chances of silver going to $5 an ounce are probably pretty remote. But those are the face values on the American Silver Eagle and the Canadian Maple Leaf. Well, what this other coin did was it said, you pay $20 and you get a coin that says $20 on it, Canadian dollars. And I thought to myself, well, if I was going to save $100 in Canadian money, maybe I wanted to hedge the U.S. dollar versus the Canadian dollar, which was a bad deal because the Canadian dollar fell. But if you were just going to go to a bank and get $100 worth of Canadian money, you might as well get $100 worth of Canadian coins that have some silver in them. Now, what happened was people would not accept the coins in stores. So let's say you went out and you bought $100 worth of these $20 coins, and the price of silver is going down, it's going nowhere, which means your coin's not going to go above $20. So whether the coin has $5 worth of silver in it, or $4 or $3 or $2, still worth $20, but you couldn't spend them because the merchants wouldn't take them. Now the upside in a coin like that is you're hedged, you have a $20 coin. And if somehow the price of silver would have gone to $70, $80, the coin would be worth more than the face value. What happened with a lot of people who bought them, they must have sold a lot in Canada because people started to turn them in, because the Canadian Mint had a policy, and they still do, that if they were not accepted, even though they were legal tender, that you can bring them to the bank and get 20 Canadian dollars for them. And apparently a lot of people did. They realized, I don't know, what am I going to do with $20? I can spend it. No, I can't spend it. They won't let me spend it. No one's going to take it. So I'll just bring it to the bank and I'll get my spending money. Now, they weren't losing money by doing that because they paid $20 for it. It's intrinsically was only worth $5. So they started to think, why am I holding on to $20 silver coin that's only worth $5? If I wanted to buy silver, back to, I would put $20 into a Canadian Maple Leaf with a $5 face value. What ended up happening was they had a massive accounting issue. It wasn't fraud. It was just they had booked the sales of the coins at $20, and when they returned them, they had to sell it down, and it ended up being that the $5 worth of silver in there, or whatever it was, a quarter of an ounce, that they had counted as sold, they had to uncount as sold. So at one point, I think the 2015 numbers were 40 million ounces they had sold, but then it went back to 34.3, as you can see here. But you can see, I don't have a chart here, but I've done it in the past. The Canadian Mint really went from like 0 to 35 million in no time. 10 years ago, Canadian silver Maple Leafs were very undersold. They didn't sell many of them. And just like the U.S. Mint, you know, moved up to 47 million. But the U.S. Mint always sold 7, 8, 9 million most years. The lowest year was 3.6 million. I think it was 1995. But the Canadian Mint showed explosive growth, and then so did the Perth Mint. So there you see your charts. Now, in 2015, you got your 47 million American Silver Eagles. If you go to 2017, just 2 years later, 18.06, you see that? That's a 61% drop, 61% in 2 years. Now, this year, so far, through the first 6 months, these are 6-month figures in 2018, at that pace, and I think they'll do better than that pace because we've had a stronger July and August, but at that pace, they would only sell 13 million, which would be another 24% drop from a 61% drop from 2015. Canadian Mint, not as bad. You can see 2017, they actually beat the U.S. Mint, 18.5 million, but that still reflects a 46% drop from their 2015 numbers of 34.3 million. And the first half of the year so far, they did better than the U.S. Mint. They did 8.3 million. So we'll see where Canadian Mint comes out. They may beat the U.S. Mint again this year in sales. The Canadian Mint coin is it's a little more silver in it than it's a little purer than the American Silver Eagle. But the problem with the Canadian Mint for reporting, they don't report monthly like the Perth Mint and the U.S. Mint. They only report quarterly, and then they report like 90 days or 60 days after the quarter. So I won't know the third quarter till like December. So I won't be able to update that chart. And the other problem with the Austrian Mint is they report annually, and sometimes I have to call them because it'll be like March or April, and I won't have the annual numbers. Or I'll email them, and they'll send me the numbers. But they're becoming a non-player. I mean, 2 million a year. I think I should start including again. And then the Britannias, the UK Mint used to publish them. Then I wrote to them, they said, no, we don't want to publish them anymore, but feel free to use the old numbers. They're in public domain. I'm like, why do I already have them? The Mexican, I have a source for that. They don't make, you know, it's interesting. What's it called? Casa de Moneda, I think. Yeah, in Mexico City. It's one of the world's oldest mint, the largest silver producer in the world, and they make precious few Libertad, so it's not even worth keeping track of them. And then the Chinese pandas, they used to make 600,000 a year, then they made 2 million a year. I think they're up to making about 8 million a year. And then 2 years ago, they switched, or 3 years ago, to making them not 1 ounce size or slightly smaller, to 30 grams. Now, just another point on this chart here. Oh, anyway, then the Perth Mint is down 28% from 2015 to 2017. And they're not selling that much this year either, 4.2 million you could see in 2018. So 2018 is shaping up, unless we see this continued surge through September, October, November. And in December, the U.S. Mint shuts down early. We may not top 2017. So you'll see this slide down from the peak year of 2015. But let me just show you, there's one thing missing. And one thing that is selling better recently are the America the Beautiful coins. Very interesting indeed. You can see that up on your screen, I believe. You'll see the numbers change on the blue only. And they sell about 1 million, for 750,000 to 1.5 million ounces of America the Beautiful coins. They're 5-ounce coins. You know, they'll sell a couple of 100,000 of those. That should be coming up on your screen. Yeah, there you go. So that just tops up the U.S. Mint numbers. I didn't reproduce them for the others, but it's basically 48 million instead of 47 million, 39 million instead of 37 million. This year, they're selling very well. They sold 30,000 of the first 3. I think they've sold 55,000 of the current coin that I don't think is shipped yet. All right, that's about it for our update on the silver sales. You can see sovereign mint coins out of favor in 2018 compared to 17, compared to 16, compared to 15. Steady decline, but we are seeing, and it's too early to tell, you know, this surge may not even save 2018 from being worse than 2017. I should have added, and I'll do that someday this week, I'll up the 2018 numbers to include August and as far as we've gotten through in September, but I can only do that for the U.S. Mint because they report daily. Perth Mint, I have to wait till September comes out. But they're pretty good. They report that first couple of days of the following month. Canadian Mint, as I mentioned, I'll have to wait till December for the 3rd quarter. That'll be just the end of September. And then the Austrian Mint, I won't get anything until next year. Okay, let's see if we've got any questions, comments, and so on. Let's see. Carl Joseph DeMarco. According to X22 report, the plan is in place. Yep, there's always something going to happen there. Central banks begin to panic. Yeah, I've seen so many shows where they say the system collapses this summer, this winter. It's always ready to collapse, or the system is they're gonna crash the system. Elites are losing control. It's the equivalent of game changer. Elites losing control. Carl Joseph DeMarco. Suspending ASE sales is proof, for those of you who don't know, ASE is American Silver Eagle, is proof they are losing control. That's right. And COMEX is out of silver. We saw the other day how much silver supposedly is in COMEX. So that's the other one. They get caught up in these contradictions. There's no silver at the COMEX. And then they say, JP Morgan has 145 million ounces of silver at the COMEX. It's the largest silver hoard in the world. Okay, but I thought there was no silver at the COMEX vault. Oh, well, you can't trust those numbers. Oh, then JP Morgan doesn't have the silver? Well, no, of course they do. Of course they do. They've got the largest hoard, and that is all I need to know, and I am buying silver. And then the commercials aren't that long. And then there's other vaults, COMEX approved vaults, and we saw the other day that those vaults hold up to almost 300 million ounces. So the argument that there's no silver at the COMEX only holds water if you're willing to say, I don't trust the numbers. Okay? But then you can't make the argument that JP Morgan has all that silver at the COMEX vaults because you have to trust the numbers. Okay. I was thinking spring as well, if not into 2020. All right, let's see. Carl Joseph DeMarco. The good guys at the Mint are trying to keep the bad guys at JP Morgan from hoarding silver. I would just think it would be such a logistical nightmare, and also it would be a crime, but it wouldn't just be a JP Morgan crime on the market, but if the Treasury is feeding silver to JP Morgan and they're not listed as an authorized purchaser, and I still don't understand why they would want silver in such a form where the value of that silver it really is in the fact that it's in a Silver Eagle form with a premium. But then, of course, how do you sell that many? And the idea, well, they melt them down. Well, you melt them down, it's a lot of work to get them, for the mint to do it, and then to sell them to you, or however they get them to. And then you got to melt them down. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. All right, let's see. The central banks are panicking, and they're comparing for the imminent collapses, Annabelle, of the old order of Sunshine Mints as Silver Wolverine. You know, sometimes I call it Sunshine Minting Company. Was jamming, but I love silver more. Do you have a mug at Allen? All right. Nah, I started stacking a few months ago. I'm a knob, really, only 137 ounces. Okay. First of all, if you have 137 ounces, and you don't have a Smaulgld mug, then there really is a problem. Because first of all, you can store your silver in a Smaulgld mug, and you should do so. Someone actually did that. Let me find you the picture. Someone sent me a picture of a Smaulgld mug, and they had stacked it with, what did they stack it? I think it looked like constitutional silver. Let me see if I can find it. Someone actually lived in Australia, and they couldn't buy a mug because of the shipping charges, so they made their own plastic mug. It's a bit of a knockoff. I'll show you that in a second. Here's the knockoff mug, which is technically a counterfeit, but I gave him a pass on that. But the one that you want to get, or you want to see, is the one where you can keep your silver in it. There it is. There's the Smaulgld knockoff. This guy put his $50 in it. Silver set to skyrocket. There you go. You can see your mugs. See, he's from Australia. He's got the kangaroos there. And there is the silver-backed mug, Game Changer, silver set to skyrocket. Okay. So, Alan Will, you got to order yourself a Smaulgld mug from the Smaulgld website. Annabelle, I got out my old Ouija board, and the plant shit told me. Boom. Good one. I think so, but I love the designs. Tom Manley is here. Hello, Tom. Why doesn't Smaulgld offer a silver mug or a silver-plated mug? I haven't found someone who could make one at a price that would make sense. They don't make them anymore. I was talking about this the other night. You can't find silverware. You can't find... I mean, with the price of silver, you can probably... I would think that without the construction value of the silver, I mean, of the mug, the metallic value, you can get it probably for under $50, but I think it would cost a lot more. But I would like to have one. American Supertramp, I picked up a much-wanted 2018 Monster Box months ago. Prices have fallen. Guess I should have waited. Also buy a roll of 20 roll ASEs, a do-it-yourself Monster Box build. Demand for mugs will drive up silver, says Carl Joseph DeMarco. Stack what you like. It's all good in the end. Yes, that's true. But I think opportunistically you have to look at, for example, the price differences. Sometimes junk or constitutional silver is trading close to spot, and sometimes it has a high premium. Silver Eagle, same thing. Sometimes they have a high premium. Sometimes you can get specials on generic stuff. So unless you are of the view that you would only get one type, then you pay whatever it is. But if you're of the view that all types are good, then you would probably try to buy the one that's trading to the closest to spot at the time. I don't know. It's just, who knows. I'm buying Silver Eagles for about $16.50 from Modern Corn Mart for a tube of 20 with 10x eBay. I wonder how it is buying from eBay. I hear about counterfeits, but I've never done it, so I wouldn't know. Carl Joseph, a silver-plated mug can be used as a silver bullet against the deep state. I'll keep stacking Silver Shield. I know it's like $6 over spot, but I love their stuff. Like I could show my kids, the guy's always been. Alan Wheeler, now that's a point that a lot of people miss, is if you like the Silver Shield coins, then have at them. I mean, from what I understand, Carl Joseph was telling us this, that in China they buy the silver and gold that they like. There may be a premium on it, but it's not all just about the stack. Now, from what I understand, what the Silver Shield stuff is, there's a large enough market of people who do like that stuff. And since there's the mini mintages, then you might get your premium back in many instances in the aftermarket. So, you know, if it's a hobby and you like to collect that kind of stuff, then that's fine. But if you're just trying to get the price of silver, then that's a different story. But it's not all about just getting the price of silver, because if that's all you're after, then maybe you just buy the SLV and you just trade the price of silver. So I mean, if people want to buy coins that they like, and maybe even if you can't get, you know, it's possible that, you know, 10 years from now, let's say Chris doesn't promote them and the community fades off, maybe they won't get the premium. But, you know, you've had them, you'll like them. So everybody has a different point of view. I don't really have one, and I think people are entitled to have their own points of view on what they want to buy. I also collect Silver Shield, try to buy 2 of one and resell the one. Yeah, I mean, if you like the what they look like, or you like the message, or you just like the support, that's a good idea. Now, where's Barry. I thought $6, you know, he's saying, whoa, I wouldn't pay $6 over spot. That's a lot. Okay. To each his own. Now, the thing is, I mean, they're not going to be as liquid around the world, obviously. You can't just walk into probably any coin shop and say, hey, I got this Silver Shield. It's X mintage. It's one of the rare ones. You know, it goes for $35. I don't know anything about these coins, but it goes for X amount on eBay. You may just get hit with a dose of, I'll give you a spot for it from the coin dealers. So you don't know, but still. If you pay by check, it's $3. But that's true with anything. If you pay by credit card. But therein lies the irony that you're running it's basically a digital operation when you use credit card to buy. You're buying silver online. So you're not really off-grid. You're not really private in that sense. Carl Joseph DeMarco said he sold most of his silver, bought crypto, and made bank. My bad new peeps. Oh, that's all right. Alan Weaver. No one can see you. But you know what you need, Alan? If you're going to drink and participate in the Smaulgld live stream, you need a Smaulgld mug. So I would suggest you head over to the Smaulgld site. I also take crypto if you want that too. Crypto can never be confiscated. American Super Trump always pay for Silver Shield with check. It's going to take a month to get the rounds left. It's a crumbling financial establishment trying to fight you, says Annabelle. Was hoping to have an eBay parcel when I got home from work with some Mercuries, Alan Wheeler. Carl Joseph DeMarco, 6 over spot, that ain't no investment. The guy loves something, so he spends money on it. Yeah. That's, you know, not everything you, like, people say their house is an investment. In some ways it isn't. I mean, sometimes you put a pool in and you may not get it back, but you enjoy it. So I think too many, the way I look at it is too many people have this, I'm going to make bank or mint or silver set to skyrocket by buying silver or gold or whatever it is. And there's probably other ways you can make fiat profits too. So I think if you like it, if you like those Silver Shield coins, then you buy them and you suck up the premium, you know, and maybe you get it back and then it's a win-win. If you don't get it back, maybe you're not looking to sell them. If somebody just said they're going to give them to their kids and, you know, they're historic artifacts. So the issue is, and this is the thing, when people say that this is how I look at it. It doesn't, you don't need the world to like Silver Shield coins for them to have value. You don't even need 10% of the world to like them. You only need enough people who like them in excess of the amount that they have for them to have value. That's typical supply and demand. It's the same thing with Bitcoin and Litecoin. When people say, oh, that's garbage, I would never buy that stuff. You don't have to. There's only 21 million Bitcoin, and if there's enough people, doesn't have to be 10% of the population, doesn't have to be 2% of investable money. It just has to be enough that want it to make the price go higher. I find it amusing when people, I would never buy that, or I don't know anyone would buy that. I guarantee if you step out onto the street and you tell people you're buying Silver Shield coin, they don't know what that is. It doesn't matter. There's thousands of people, I would suppose, enough people that like them, that value them, and that's what gives them value. it's the same with Bitcoin and Litecoin. The world doesn't have to go on a Bitcoin standard for Bitcoin to go higher. And the reason it's gone as high as it has is the people that don't like it, they're not in the market. And the people that don't like Silver Shield coins, they're not in the market. They don't affect the price by not buying them. They're not. That market doesn't count on people who don't know what they are, or if they do see them and say, I would never pay that. Doesn't matter whether they would or not. As long as there's a market of people who do want these products, then the price conceivably could go higher. All right. What are you drinking? Alan Wheeler says all is one. Goose Island. What is that? That's vodka? That's Grey Goose. I don't know what Goose Island is. All the Silver Eagles since 1987, says P.S. Lavon. How could there ever be a silver shortage? All the Silver Eagles since 1987 minted are about 600 million. Which, it's about... That's I called, actually, if you caught one of my recent videos I did, where are the largest silver stockpiles in the world, I actually listed the 600 million, it's a knowable amount, 600 million American Silver Eagles is somewhat of a stockpile, not all in one place, but somewhere around the world. Annabelle pulled a message, 2 messages, I didn't get to see them, keep it going down, I want $4 ounce again. Well, the thing is about the Silver Shield, you say 10 bucks a pop, there's always going to be a fabrication charge on coins and rounds. And that's why, obviously, the larger the thing you get, like a bar, and there's no design on a bar, really, other than, it says 10 ounces and $9.99 fine. You pay for no design, and you pay less in fabrication because it costs more to make ounces than it does to make larger bars. Carl Joseph DeMarco. Does anybody buy back SBSS? What is that? SBSS. For anything close to purchase price, so they give you below spot on the buyback. I don't know what SBSS is. Think about that. How much increase you need before you break even. That is the issue right now with buying Silver Eagles at the current prices, because you're going to pay, because of the way the authorized purchasers pay $2 per coin over the spot price of silver. When the lower the price gets, the larger the premium is. So at $10 an ounce, they're going to pay $12 for a Silver Eagle coin, which means there's a 20% premium. And if you pay $12 for it, and the price of silver is $10, the price has to rise 20% before we break even, and you don't even break even because you won't get your premium. So you have to get like a 30% increase before you get your money back. So Silver Eagles are, the lower the price goes, that premium takes up a larger percentage of, you're not getting as much silver for your dollar. You're paying a premium. Why are silver sales so slow this year? Is it because everyone's catching on to silver pushers hoax? I don't know if they view it that way. I think it's market exhaustion, which has something to do with it. Now, you tune in every week for 7 years. Silver set to skyrocket, game changer. This is happening, that's happening, and it doesn't happen. And then, it gets to the point where commercials are long. That's bullish for silver. Commercials are short. That's bullish for silver. Price is down. That's bullish for silver. Everything is bullish for silver. Life is bullish for silver. And I think there comes a point where reality sits in. You say, I'm sitting on dead money here for 7 years. How many of these stories am I going to believe? I look at silver as a 15, 20-year investment. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Rod Panhard. In the UK, banks used to accept £20, £50, £100 Royal Mint coins with stock because the people would buy them and take them to the bank and convert back to cash but collect credit card rewards for free. Well, there you go. Pines Lavon. No demand, no future for silver going up or being a store of value. Now, there is an argument that that's true. A lot of people insist that silver is a store of value, but and they insist Bitcoin's a store of value. I don't really believe either of them really are, because silver is a spike and dive metal, and it kind of holds on to its value. So like right now, a quarter, 30 cents used to buy you a gallon of gas in 1964. Now today, I wonder what a gallon of gas would cost. Let's close to $3, isn't it? Right. So if you were to have, what is it, coinflation? If I were to look that up, and I were to see the melt value of a quarter, and a quarter's worth $2.55, so it is about the same. And then you add in a dime, which is worth like $1, so it's like $3.55 for 30 cents. So it's held its value, but it doesn't always. I mean, there's more speculative value in silver than there is. There's a combination of speculative and store of value in silver. There's more of a store of value and less speculative value in gold. Well, 1973 was $50. Yeah, no, it wasn't 73. It was gold was $50. Yes. It's Trump, that's why silver is low. Yeah, people have put that forward, that silver went up because it was two reasons. The Fed was doing QE and lowering interest rates, and you had Obama. And now, since Trump got elected, the Fed's been raising interest rates, and you have Trump. Trump effect is real, says Where's Barry. Hopefully he will spend us into the reset. Well, that's people aren't really paying attention to him. The amount of extra debt. I think the deficit in August was $243 billion. I don't think you need to audit the Fed. I guess you do, but they're actually on the right path now in that they are raising interest rates and they are selling off some of the balance sheet. The real issue was, what the hell did they do in 2008? Where did they send the money? And the fact that they bought mortgage-backed securities, monetized debt, that was the real issue. At least now they're presumably trying to fix what they've done, but they're saying now next recession they want to buy stocks, and it's out of control. $50 45 years ago, and adjusting for inflation, is $14 an ounce. You've managed to store 1/10 of your wealth. Because the economy is awesome, US dollar is strong. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing the thread here. Oh, we've got so many more comments. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go a little quicker here. Drunk Octopus. What do you dislike about constitutional silver? I covered this the other night, but not everyone heard it, and you probably won't go back and not even know where it was. So constitutional silver is 90%, so it's not 100%. So it makes it difficult. This is the bad stuff. So it makes it difficult to understand how much silver you actually have. You can price it by face value, but if you want to sell one coin, you have to figure out how much is in each coin, and it's not on a base 10 system. So like a dime is not, doesn't have 1/10 of an ounce of silver. So you can't just tell people, well, it has 1/10 of an ounce of silver. It doesn't. It has like 0.07234 ounces. So it gets unwieldy to figure out how much it's worth, because I think it like a dollar has like 0.72 ounces of silver in it if you have quarters and dimes, and half dollars. If you have a dollar coin, it's like 0.77 ounces. That's the biggest problem with junk silver. It's just trying to figure out how much it's worth. The upside of it is that it's probably not ever counterfeited. Other than if you look at something like a proof or uncirculated, it's not worth the time, money, and the risk to try to antique tons of dimes, quarters, and half dollars and silver. And so that's a positive thing. The other thing is they're very easily recognizable. You have a quarter, it looks just like a quarter, at least on the front. They've changed the back since, but still looks like a quarter. People understand what it is. The other thing is, I guess, you can collect them in a way. You can pick out the good ones. I've seen people do that online. They buy like a big bag and then they sift through them. It's more fun than just stacking, I suppose, because you can try to collect the different sets, like maybe a full set of Roosevelt dimes. You could probably do it's historic too, because you're looking at coins that are pre-1965. And I think people can relate to that. It's an interesting thing. So I like them, but the problem with them is if you think they're perfect barter items, I don't think they're perfect, because while they may be recognizable, you're going to have to convince somebody at the price of silver and how much silver is in each coin or what's the face value. It's not as easy. I think for barter, probably just ounces is the easiest with no face value on it or ever. But, you know, people are going to say, how do I know it's a real ounce of silver? And then they say, well, you use American Silver Eagles. People don't even know what an American Silver Eagle is unless they're a collector. So now you're back to constitutional silver. Everybody recognizes it. That's why I say there's no perfect silver coin bar around. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. And my observation is if constitutional silver has a high premium and the Eagles have a low or rounds have a low, then you go that way. If the Eagles are very high on premium, then you stay away from them and you go if alternatively the premiums are low on the constitutional silver. Trust me, Trump is meant to be the watcher of the downfall. Who knows? Second trim. People thought it would happen right away when he got in. Is there even a single X22 report that isn't a game changer for 10 years now? I don't think he uses the term game changer. Well, they have been saying the crash is coming since 2010. Hello, Poppy stuff. Haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, Dave is good, but Daily Cop. Well, everybody has what they call a shtick. You know, mine is game changer probably. It's kind of your trademark. He talks about. In fact, he opens up and he says, "What does he say?" He says, in the collapse news or something like that. Gets good guests once in a while. It's amazing. He does a good show every day. I don't have time to listen to them all the time, but all right. Alan Wheeler. Okay. Matty D. Isn't JP just acting as custodian all the silver the same way the other COMEX vaults do? Yes, that's very much possible. And no one is saying Brinks has a silver hoard. Well, the other day I was showing that on the screen, the Brinks number, and I was saying Brinks is stacking silver. I think the difference is first of all, people believe what they want to believe. There's a story to tell if JP Morgan has silver. JP Morgan is far more well-known and hated than Brinks. JP Morgan is involved in the silver trading. JP Morgan has accumulated $40 billion in fines. JP Morgan is, with reason, a boogeyman, and so anything you can ascribe to them, you know, is a much better story. And then there's smoke around the story. Apparently they take delivery in their name on the silver that comes into their vault. Doesn't mean they own it, doesn't mean it's theirs. But again, the bulk of that story isn't the 145 million ounces that are at least in the JP Morgan vault. It's the additional silver that's been acquired according to the theory that people are talking about. And part of it is buying sovereign minted coins, which I just can't see. All right. Yeah, end game is always a big one. We're in the end game, game changer, game over, COMEX default, all these stories. Stock market, healthcare, food all up, but silver keeps going down since 2012. That is the best argument for silver. It's the only asset class, probably on Earth, that's gone down for 7 years. Hi, my name is Dave, and this is always fun to watch. The end is near, and the elites know it. Yep, elites losing control. But, you know, it's a good show. I enjoy it. He does a good job. Like, I don't believe in the Q stuff, but, you know, he puts it together where it's believable and interesting. So Alan Wheeler is a government mole, he says. I've been working for the government, and it's planning, and it's going to fall. Okay. Back to the bar I go, he says. All this goes down, of course, then gold won't matter. I look forward to cheap silverware. If you can find it, Walden Tree. I'd like to have a silverware set, but I don't think you have to buy it used, I guess. It really won't. It's thrown away more than silver than you realize for a reason. When the ratio was closer to 50, Quasi Killer says silver was 14 and gold at 600. Gold's been the one going up. Well, that's for sure. Gold's off 35% from silver's off 35% from gold the last 5 years. Alan Wheeler. You see, you know what's interesting, Alan? You don't have to apologize for being drunk because no one can really tell. But then, of course, when you say that you are and you apologize for being drunk, then it's obvious that you are. Okay, fair enough, but the system and the system replace are the ones holding it. It's got to count for something. The next currency. Crazy Killer says, boy, this live video is boring. I'm out of here. And I'm going to find me some X22. There's plenty of episodes. You can go back and watch all those. Mark of the Beast. All right. I think we're running to the end here. Ripped from Bitcoin. You'll lose your money on currency. Alan Wheeler says he ordered a mug. All right. I'll get that out to you then. Silver Shield rounds are anti-government guns. Message of change. There's always been a market. Someone's going to come around. Yeah, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, yes, someone. But there's not going to be, there's not a market for tens of millions. But as I said, that doesn't matter. Lack of faith in U.S. government means hope for silver. I think that's true with any currency, is when your currency fails is because of a lack of faith in the finances or the politics of the government. And that's what you see in Argentina, Brazil, Turkey, countries like that. Oh, Silver Bullet, Silver Shield, SBSSS. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what are their listings on eBay. Are they higher than the base price? And if they sell, then there's no mystery. Then that's the market. Then they sell. Shark Air. Silver's dropping because it's a leading indicator for the economy. The economy is not doing as well as they say. Certain sectors are doing well, but not all sectors. Yeah, but silver currently is about 70% industrial, so you would think that if the economy was doing well, then silver price would go up. And generally, if the economy wasn't doing well, then silver would also go up. So it has kind of a, that's what I think prevents it from getting traction and direction one way or the other. I mean, is it a anti-dollar the way gold is? Not as much, I don't think. Is it an industrial metal totally? No, not so much. And also the industries that it's in, they're doing thrifting. So even if we get more electronics demand or solar demand, doesn't necessarily translate into more industrial demand. The Fed is on right track to strengthen the dollar. That's true. In Australia, we're paying $4.35 per gallon for fuel. Yeah, so now your silver has basically held its value. That's about where we came out. In a total collapse, there'll be no official price for silver. That's right. Actually, in a total, you won't have the trading on the COMEX. So that may cause a local, the price of eggs is different all over the world, but the price of silver isn't. That's a very interesting observation. So you'll get local prices, and if silver is used as money, currency, in a particular area, it may have a premium. Or people don't know what it is and don't value it. They may use eggs, and that may have a premium. Who knows? People will value what they can easily recognize physically. Well, that's the advantage of the junk silver. However, with the limited usage today, people under 20, they probably don't see quarters and dimes, and they probably never seen a $50. So that argument for constitutional silver starts to fade away. It's like, what is this thing? It's a quarter. What's a quarter? See, so that could be a problem. How long will it be to be able to barter with silver for a tank of gas at the 7-Eleven to collapse, thinking it's not going to happen anytime soon? Well, I agree, American Supertramp, but try your Silver Bullet, Silver Shield at the gas station. Even less likely, right? It says no sound. I have sound, but anyway, I think we're... Oh, okay, you got it. Most people don't even know what silver is, says Golden Banjer. That's true. By the way, go check out Golden Banjer's YouTube channel. Some fine picking there. There's only a couple of videos, but they're really cool. There's like 2 or 3 banjo videos where you can listen to some banjo playing. They will go to some type of crypto, I'm sure. That's how people think today. They're not thinking silver. I agree with that. That doesn't mean silver won't be valued, and gold even more so. You can always exchange your metals into crypto. Well, just like today, you'd exchange your cryptos into fiat. I mean, I'm sorry. You exchange your gold or silver into fiat. When you complain about the price, it's because you want to be able to turn it in and go buy yourself a Ford Fiesta or whatever you or a Lambo, whatever it is. Whoa, not a mole. No, that was a joke, Alan Wheeler. Of course not. You were saying, though, you work for the government and you know it was going down. That was what the reference was there. Roger Henley. Gas prices vary widely in America from state to state due to different taxes on the fuel. Yes, they do. And that's definitely a factor, is the tax. Shark Air, you sound just like a pumper. The economy is doing well, silver should go up. The economy is not doing well, silver should go up. That's right. No matter what happens, silver is indispensable and will go higher in an economic boom or an economic depression. You need to buy silver. You need to buy it from me, and you need to buy it from me now. Buy it before it is all gone. People living near the border, yes, they cross state lines to buy gas if they can. That's an interesting use tax question, because if you go over a different state and you don't pay tax on something, you have to come back into your tax and pay it into your state and pay it under use tax. But I wonder what happens when you buy gas in another state and it's different tax than what you pay in your state. I suppose technically you're supposed to pay that tax. Okay, thanks for the shout. I used to have more videos up, but I cleaned house. He took my piles of gold off there. Ha ha. Yeah, it's a good. I like the banjo. It's a very good. I watched all of them. There was 2 or 3, but I enjoyed them. All right. Well, thank you very much. We've been on for an hour. There was only supposed to be a short update on what's going on at the U.S. Mint and the Silver Eagles, but we got a lot of questions and comments. So thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow.